Hey everyone, I'm Spencer.
I'm Lara, and we're married with board games. Building an empire isn't easy. Just ask Emperor Palpatine. Okay, sorry, that was kind of forced.
Let's just get into what it takes to build an empire. Hire the best people, gain resources, and in the case of Brass Empire, construct buildings and manufacture steam-powered machines. Oh, and don't forget the part about sabotaging your opponents.
So we set out to build the very best brass empires, and we got to experience many of those aspects in the game. But just what is a brass empire, and is it worth the blood, sweat, and tears to pursue?
Let's take a look.
Brass Empire is a deck building game originally published with the help of Kickstarter from Rock Manor Games. It's for 1 to 5 players, but in this review we'll be focusing on a 2-player game.
Now, Brass Empire is said to take place in a steampunk universe. Players will build their decks to contain employee cards, unit cards, and building cards, each of which have some sort of ability and brass value.
In addition to the brass value on the cards, you will also be acquiring brass cubes through some of those abilities and combat actions. The player at the end of the game whose empire has produced the most brass wins.
Now let's head over and see what you'll have at your disposal to construct your Brass Empire. What you're looking at here is Brass Empire. This is everything that comes in the box minus the baggies and the rule book and a really nice insert, by the way. But this is what you're going to be using to play the game. First, down here are 5 different factions, and when you play the game you choose a faction to play as. And what these will do is when you pick a faction, these are special cards only you can buy from. And it's special to you, and some may be better suited for building things, some may be better suited for hiring people, some may be better suited for combat. So it's up to you which one you want to choose. The only other thing that they really do is some cards will give you a bonus for purchasing them if they are the same color as your faction. But just because you are green doesn't mean you're the only one that can buy green. That's not how it works. You might get a discount on green cards if you're the green faction, but other than that, it doesn't really do anything. When you start the game, everybody will have a hand of 10 basic cards, and they're made up of these clerks, which are employees. This symbol represents labor. So these are your very basic cards. It's +1 labor. And then you'll also be made up of union workers. And this represents construction, so that helps you build buildings. And so everyone will have the same amount of those basic cards. Like most deck builders, you will use those cards to purchase more cards to build your deck. The row down here, this is how you set up the game with these 2 different decks. The bottom row is buildings and units, and the top row are employees. And you will purchase them through a combination of your basic cards. I'll just show you an example of some of these buildings or units. Buildings or units, they come in the same row. Here is a Harlem Electric unit and a Metronome Constable, Chroniker, and up here you'll see this is the purchase cost. So in order to get the Tesla Trooper, you need 1 construction and 2 labor. All of the cards that you purchase have a brass value, and this will come into play at the end of the game that will tell you how many brass points you have. And then these cards, the units and the buildings, also have an attack value and a health value because you'll be doing combat with these. But yeah, you've got a Chroniker, Monorail, Marshal, Assembly Line, and of course they all have some special ability on them. These are the cards that are going to stay down in your play area once you play them down. These are permanent cards until someone comes along and destroys them, or you can possibly destroy them yourself. So that's buildings and units. As I mentioned, the top row are employees, and these are the ones that are going to be doing some other things. But it's the same basic principle, right? So the top is the purchasing cost. So for here, it's 3 labor. And these don't have attack or health because you won't be doing that with your employees. But they still do have a brass value. These are the effect the card has when you play it down. So there's a shock saboteur, a contractor, dismantling agent, pocket watch sleuth. So those are some examples of some of the employees that you can hire. Over here are your brass cubes. These represent brass points. So the clear ones represent 1 brass point, and the red ones represent 5 brass points. And throughout the game, you'll be doing different things to acquire those. Like when you attack, you can acquire brass cubes. You can also choose to have one of your units mine for brass instead of attacking. Any unit has that option to either mine for brass or attack another unit or building. Over here, these red cubes are your damage counters. So if you have a building that's been attacked, you put that down on your building to show that that's how many times it's been attacked, how many damage it's been dealt. Over here, finally, is the mining platform. Everybody gets one of these at the beginning of the game, and you can use this to spend 2 construction to get 1 brass cube. This does have a health value on it though, so someone can theoretically destroy it. But you can easily get it back by spending 2 construction. Now we'll give you our overall opinion in just a little bit, but we want to talk about things individually first. So let's start with artwork. The artwork seems kind of inconsistent. Right? What do you think I mean by that?
I would say it's just not paired well with the graphic design. When I picture steampunk and brass empire and things like that, I picture, crisp lines, definite,
shiny,
angular, and things like that.
Yeah.
And this artwork is a lot more flowy and
muted,
smooth.
Yeah.
And I think it would be better suited to like the artwork on the cards in like Dixit or Mysterium that are supposed to kind of leave you guessing as to what it is, but that shouldn't be happening here in this game.
It's just a weird juxtaposition to have that smooth, like you said, smooth style against the graphic design of like the with back of the cards of gears. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Angular and shiny. It just doesn't seem to really go together. And some of the artwork kind of does match, but that's what we mean by inconsistent.
Yeah.
It's not across the board. It's an interesting style of artwork too, but it's not really one of our favorite style of artwork. So let's talk about theme too. As we stated at the introduction of the video, we mentioned this is supposed to be in a steampunk universe. Would you say that this game kind of feels steampunky, or what do you think?
I don't know that it's necessarily full-on steampunk the way that I've seen it represented in other games.
Yeah, it almost feels like the theme is kind of pasted on it. It almost feels like...
It seems like the design of the game is good, and they designed a game and they went, well, we've got to pick something for the artwork and the graphic design.
Right.
For what it needs to look like. What do you like? And somebody went, let's just pick steampunk.
Right. And, you could pretty much put almost any theme on it and it would still work, or not have any theme.
There
and just
could be
numbers.
Some themes that might work better.
Right. Yeah. And so it's not real thematic. And in fact, there are certain things that don't really make sense. Like there are some units, I mentioned that a unit can either attack or mine for brass.
Yeah.
Well, that's an employee.
Oh, okay.
But if you look at like this is a gauntlet warrior. I mean, and a warrior is not really going to be mining for brass.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
You do have some that it does make sense for, but some of the other ones, you're kind of pushing it to say that a general is mining for brass or something like that.
Here's even an airman.
Yeah.
I wouldn't send an airman down into the mines to mine for brass.
So just little things like that don't really make sense. Let's move over to the components. I'd say overall, the components are really good quality. It's a really well-made game. The cards are a good linen finish. They feel like they're going to hold up for a while.
Well, we always appreciate a good insert.
Yes, it's got a great insert. It's got
so
really
that
good...
your stuff isn't just flopping around.
Right, with as
there.
many cards are in this game.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
It really keeps them in place.
Look at that, and that's just employees. This isn't even taking into account the units. I mean, that's a big old deck.
And the what do you think about the quality of the tokens, the cubes?
The quality is good.
Yes, they're good. But we do have a minor quibble on the brass tokens here.
The game is called Brass Empire. And these are brass tokens. I just... no.
It's red.
Sorry.
It doesn't look brassy.
No. This looks like glass.
So that's another thing that doesn't really fit thematically.
It doesn't really
like I
work
said, they're good quality. They're good.
They are
plastic cubes.
They're
but
durable. They're not going to break.
It's an odd color choice for a brass steampunk style game.
Yes.
So on that note, let's go over to the gameplay. It works as a deck builder, right?
Yep.
And as a game, it's well-designed game. Everything works fine. Not really anything revolutionary, though, right?
Not really something to write home about.
Right. Nothing really new introduced. It's basic deck building 101.
Yeah.
But as we mentioned a few moments ago, there are a lot of cards in this game, so that adds for a lot of variety. We've played several times, and Lara was just
now looking through the deck, I saw cards I hadn't seen before.
Right, so there'll be a lot of fresh things you haven't seen whenever you play, just because there are so many cards to go through. And then talking about playing through the game, the length of the game feels just about right, don't you?
Yes.
It's quick, doesn't feel long, but not too quick to where it doesn't feel like you didn't
even get
enough.
a chance to do my thing.
Yeah, it's the perfect amount of time for a two-player game. And we played it back to back on one occasion and didn't feel like we were just
sitting there for hours.
Right. So yeah, really good amount of time on this. There are some decisions to be made when you're playing.
Yeah.
Like when your units, you can say, do I want to attack with them or mine with them? Of course, you're choosing which cards to play. So yeah, there's some decisions to be made there. So overall, as a game, it works. Now, the game is billed as being able to play one player, right? Lara didn't play it one player, but I did, and it's one of those things where you have to have an AI essentially, but it's not really artificial intelligence. You're essentially making the decisions for that player.
So you're playing against yourself?
Yeah, basically. You're making decisions for the other player, but you're going to be making decisions that are in your best interest, so it's kind of weird.
Sounds like maybe they shouldn't do one player.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend one player. It is neat though. There are some other variants, like you can play it different ways. Like the objectives can be changed to where instead of trying to gain brass, everybody has
kill the opponent.
Yeah, everybody has a certain amount of health, and so the last player standing wins. We didn't play those. We're just trying to play it for the basic value of the game for what it's being sold as. But that would be interesting to check out. But overall, I would say bottom line, Brass Empire is a pretty basic deck building game that works, but doesn't really offer enough for us to get excited about it. If you are a big fan of deck building games and you're looking to expand your collection, Brass Empire might be the right game for you.
Also, if you want a pretty simple to explain deck builder to introduce the mechanic to your non-gaming friends, you might also consider this game.
But if you're looking for something revolutionary or a really thematic experience, we can't really recommend Brass Empire for you. Not to say it's a bad game, just that there are other deck builders we'd play before this one.
We're going to box this one up for now. If you have a favorite deck building game that you want to tell us about, we would love to hear from you.
Yes!
Head to our website where there are links to all of our social media accounts, marriedwithbg.com.
Thanks so much for watching, and keep an eye out for our next review.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.